talk about the rental housing laws for 2022. Okay.
2022. Yes. So I wanted to address the ones that failed, and this is going to be good for us. So on the docket for 2021, for effective 2022 was AB 1188. So this was huge. It would have required that cities and counties create and administer a online portal designed for landlords to register their rental properties. And we didn't support this. We were very active as a team in working with our local association to get this denied. So basically, if you own 5 or more rentals, you would have to register those, and then everybody would know that you have them. And it's just not good. And then SB 633 would have required landlords to provide specific disclosures to any person in their language. So if you have a co-signer, for an example, of a property, and you know that they do not speak English, they speak a different language, this would have required that you provide all documents to that co-signer in their specific language. As we know, Southern California is a melting pot. That would be a lot of forms and disclosures and versions to have on file. So that one didn't pass either. Another one that was big that we did not support either is this one. This is AB 854, which would have made it so that if you own a rental property, so Ron and Tyler have a property, and Ron wants to get out. Well, Ron can't get out if he hasn't held his ownership for at least 5 years. So that just locks people in. Additionally, if you purchase subsequent properties, so I have a property and I go and buy another rental property, I would have been required to hold it for 10 years before I could exit the market. Thankfully, that passed as well. And just to clarify, the Ellis Act allows a landlord to evict. We're not really evicting them, but giving them a 60-day notice or a 30-day notice, depending on how long they've lived in the property, so that they can exit the rental market. As it is, that is already tricky for us. There's only 3 reasons, which we've discussed before, why you can actually exit the market. And if they would have made it this way, it would have been a lot harder for landlords to leave the market if they needed to. Those that passed. So one thing that passed is the state is going to have to establish what's called a Cal Account Blue Ribbon Commission. And this commission is going to have to conduct a market analysis. It has to be completed by 2024, where people who don't have access to standard banking can put their money, and then we as property managers and you as landlords would have to accept money from this state bank for rent, security deposits, any other fees. We don't know if this program is actually going to get off the ground. They're simply forming a commission to study this new account, or, Cal account. So we'll see where that comes in the next couple of years.
Also, let me add lib on that while we're there, is that when we send you out an email and we talk about this, we give you a link to your congressman or whatever, make sure you go ahead and send that off. It's really easy to do. It's like click, 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 and you're done. Okay. Mm-hmm. We fill out all the information for you, but make sure you take advantage of that when we do send you these emails, and which we will be doing from now on. Go ahead.
Yeah, we did send out several. So those that participated, thank you. And then we always do as well. So those that passed. So this is this AB 468 has to do with emotional support animals. So the way it is right now is that if a resident wants to move into your property and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't accept pets. Well, you have to accept them if they're an emotional support animal. And so what they've done now is buttoned it down a little bit, but then on the other side, not so much. So what it's saying is that licensed healthcare practitioners can't just sign off, yep, Ron Sudman needs an ESA animal. You have to have a clinical evaluation. You have to have an established relationship with that client or that patient for at least 30 days prior. That's only in a licensed healthcare practitioner. So the other part of it is it doesn't regulate people or entities that can provide verifications. So I say, Ron, as my landlord, I have this animal and I went to my support group and the leader of my support group signed off that I need it. You as a landlord, Ron, have to accept that because I didn't go to a licensed healthcare professional. I went to my support group, which is a reliable third party on this law. So I don't know if we'll see much of a change. At Management One, we do use a third party pet screening, and they do a lot of this verification. In fact, they do all the verifications. So right now we're working on a couple of applications and we got one rejected. Well, you has to be within the last 12 months. The documents you provided don't meet those qualifications. So it doesn't come from us as a management company. It comes from the third party, and they make sure that everything is in line with fair housing and the laws that are being passed. So it kind of takes that responsibility away from us. Another one that came through is Section 8 voucher. So we've been doing this, and I'm not sure how it came to be a new fair housing regulation because I thought it was always there. But when you're calculating somebody's income and they come to you and they say they have Section 8, you have to include that Section 8 income as part of your income. So for us at Management One, we say you have to make 3 times the amount of the rent gross. Well, if they come and they say, well, here's my voucher, we have to include that income or that voucher as part of their 3 times the income. So we've been doing that, but we also work hand in hand with fair housing and we always go through training. So it could just be that we picked it up in our training this year and now it's coming into play for 2022. Another thing that we've seen is discriminatory advertising. We were just talking about this. Tyler brought this the other day. You can't say master bedroom anymore. It's a primary bedroom. And so same thing with this home is located near an elementary school, perfect for families. You can't say that either because it's kind of implying that if you don't have a family, then this home isn't perfect for you. So there are more and more changes to what can and can't be said in your advertising. And even if you're a private landlord, let me just tell you this, even if you're a private landlord, you have to abide by these same things. Fair housing doesn't say, oh, you're a private landlord. Okay, here's your pass. They require you to know this information as well. They'll hold you just as accountable as they hold us. There also were additional regulations that came out, but they haven't been published yet. So when I attended the webinar on the new laws, they didn't have them and they didn't have them as of today. Fair housing doesn't have to supply them until the end of the year prior to them becoming effective. So as those come out, we'll keep you guys updated in the January webinar.
Let me also add with fair housing items, should any of you own properties out of state, fair housing, that's federal. So that goes across the whole country. So make sure that your management companies, if you have some, that they're, paying attention to some of these things, because unfortunately, a lot of them don't. They're smaller companies and they just don't have the wherewithal to attend all these conferences that we do. Back to you, Kristen.
Sure. So one other thing that came out, which was like the biggest thing for us, is going to be this mandatory mold booklet. So starting January 1st, all new residents, it's optional for your current, must be provided with a mold booklet. And it's not a booklet. It's a PDF file that's like 2 pages long. It explains to them what mold is, what to look for, what to do. We always have to do a lead disclosure on properties of a certain age. And so now we have to do mold starting January 1st. And they'll have to sign off that they received a copy of it. So all in all, given the last 2 years that we've had, 2022 isn't bringing about any major law changes or anything that's too unsettling. Some of the ones that we had hoped would be overturned, they're not. We still can only ask a resident to move if you want to sell or move back into the property. Those are your two major things. We work with and follow California Apartment Association. We attend all their webinars, like Ron was just mentioning. They're huge advocates in maintaining landlord rights across the board. They cover the entire state of California. They're always on the Hill lobbying for us. And so there again, when they send out, hey, we need your help, and we pass that along to you, we encourage you guys to participate in maintaining your rights as landlords. That's our goal as well. So 2022 looks brighter than the previous 2 years, and I'm excited to see where everything goes. With that being said, I don't have any questions. Ron, do you have any questions or want to ad lib anything?
Yeah, I wanted you to add, kind of add on to the on the COVID-19, the change that took place, because everybody thought that as of and we as well, November 1, that it would be business as usual. But in actuality, what happens on that is it isn't back as normal business, because when you serve a 3-day, which we do on the 6th of the month, okay, we can't file 3 days or 8 days later, depending on how you serve the notice. It actually ends up being 20 days minimum. And then after that, okay, if they have applied for rental assistance and they have not been denied, then we still can't go ahead and file eviction. So we're really going to be in this until probably the end of March. By the end of the March, unless there's something else that, pops up with the pandemic, then I think it will be back to normal, and we'll start taking care of business as usual. But we are spending countless hours with residents who aren't paying, and fortunately only 4% of our inventory is like that, but it eats up a tremendous amount of time because everything changes every week. And I'm involved, my partner's involved, accounting's involved, Kristen's involved in meetings that are very lengthy every week, just to make sure we're dotting I's and crossing the T's, because if you miss something, you got to start all over again. So it's pretty mind-boggling. So